Good evening, and welcome to another episode of the Here and Now videocast. On this episode, I have my friend Marina Dymchenko, who is a life coach, and we're going to get to share a few moments of Marina's story, and I think it's going to be very intriguing. Hello, Marina. Thank you for being here.
Hello. Thank you for having me, Lindsay. It's very nice to be here. Let's make it fun.
It's going to be, I hope so. So, would you like to start with a small introduction about you?
Yes. How small do you want it to be? Because if you talk about yourself, it can start with early ages and last for hours.
This is your moment. So you start how early you want and share how much ever you want. Just go intuitively where you feel how far back you want to go and what you want to share.
All right. How about I start with the present? I currently live in Dubai. I'm into holistic life coaching and functional nutrition. I'm very much on emotional wellness and anxiety management. And well, I've been struggling with emotions throughout my life, and I finally reached the point where I understand how to manage my own emotions and how to help people manage theirs. I'm into brain science, into sleep science. I'm very much into food and nutrition. So I'm interested in everything that makes people's lives better.
Wow, that was a great introduction. How do you combine all these interests? Why so many beautiful things?
Good thing you asked. A few years back, I found myself out of a job that I loved. I actually used to be a nursery teacher. So I used to deal with the babies on a daily basis. And that was a very great job that I had. I really enjoyed like every day. But I reached the point where I couldn't grow in it anymore, and I felt like I wanted something more. I wanted something bigger, and I couldn't realize my potential within that job. So I stopped, and I understood that I don't have skills anywhere else. So I wondered, what is it that I can do? What is it that where should I invest my time, and what should I focus on? Nutrition, wellness, those have been always interesting to me. So I started. I think I made a mistake back then, and that's the reason why it took me a while to take off. I started learning about everything at the same time. I was like, okay.
Is that your mistake? Is that the mistake you made?
Yes, but probably if I took a more narrow focus, I would have taken off faster. Because the way I got to coaching, you don't need that expansive knowledge in so many areas, because right now, yes, it works for me. Back then, it was working against me because I could understand that I did not have knowledge in a particular area well enough so that I could teach it to somebody else. I knew a little bit from here, a little bit from there, a little bit from here, a little bit from there, but it was not coming into one picture. And it's only a few years back, a couple years back actually, that I started understanding that my knowledge in each of these areas, mind-body connection, some spirituality, emotional intelligence, nutrition, it all comes into one big picture of healthy living, which is something that I focus on, because when you tell people healthy living, most of them think, oh, it's about eating some green gross stuff and saying you like it.
Yeah, bio.
Right? Whereas it's an integration of physical and emotional health, and there are so many aspects to it. And well, before this, breads used to scare me, now I see it as like an opportunity to explore each sphere separately and like add to a bigger picture. Because when we talk about physical health, it's not only food or
Mhm.
exercises, it's also sleep, it's also our environment, what we
Stress. Yeah.
surround ourselves with, the cleaning supplies we use, the beauty products we use, right? And if you just start digging into nutrition, it's a never ending story because there's a lot of information now, a lot of new studies, a lot of to explore. And when it comes to emotional health, it's also not only about emotions and depression and anxiety. It's a lot about relationship. It's a lot about, again, our environment and how it affects us, where we
Mhm.
get information from, how we react to that information. That's where we talk about social media a lot, because it's shaping our emotional health so much, especially lately, especially now when people are mainly on their phones, mainly communicating through social networking, and uh, there's still a lot to explore there. And with the way world developing, there's so much stress on everybody. I think you can talk and write so much on just emotional health and mental wellness and everything. And also, parenting should fit somewhere in between, because
I
it's
agree.
also
I agree.
it's also a combination of everything.
Mhm.
And then you have to uh, teach this to children in a way they will think they like it, which is also like not just a skill, it's art, because trying to make your child eat healthy and make healthier food choices, it requires a lot of effort, it requires a lot of dedication, and um, somehow even competence in your subject, because um, it's not enough for children to hear that this is healthy or this is going to make you feel better. You have to back it up uh, properly with the science that they will be interested in, with the level that they will be able to understand. Because we've had this problem with healthy eating at home, and for me, as a person who is on healthy living so much, it's double hard to see my family eat junk. And I always try to hold myself back, because I understand that this is my choice.
Mhm.
I came to this, I didn't grow up knowing much about nutrition. I think none of people of our age did, unless you grew up in a family of doctors probably, or some nutritionists, because it used to always be just food, and something we didn't even know about getting energy from food. We didn't break it down into carbs,
No, no.
proteins, fats. We didn't know those words, so it didn't occur to us that it could have such huge effects on our health and emotional health in the first place. Because what I encountered, like my child happened to have a gluten sensitivity, and she used to have such like major behavior issues, and we almost put her into therapy, because they were putting her on Asperger's spectrum, because of
Mm.
her some gaps in social and emotional development, even though she is like an absolutely bright child, and anybody who knows will tell you the same thing. She's like
Mhm.
different from other children, but those problems in her behavior that we came to the therapist with, because we could no longer deal with her at home, turned out to be diet related
Wow.
rather than development related. And just removing gluten from her diet took off probably 60 to 70% of her behaviors
Oh,
that
wow.
we struggled with. Yes, and the rest of stuff started catching up as she started growing up a little bit, and understanding that food does have effect on how she behaves and how she feels. And
Mhm.
even now she's more conscious, of course, because like kids get a little bit more emotionally mature after 8 years old, I guess. And now she can actually observe the effect of food on how she feels. And she
That's so
actually
great.
comes and says, because we cannot just cut off world supplies of food to our children. They will go parties, they will go to their friends' houses, and they will eat stuff, right? You cannot just forbid them. And now she says, when I eat this, this is how I feel. This is what it makes me feel. So I don't think I'm gonna eat that, or
That's
I will limit
amazing.
that to like once a month, for instance, as a cheat meal, for instance, or like whatever. Now she's having it as her conscious choice rather than something that mommy said would make her feel better. Yeah, but I think this is something that everybody needs to understand by themselves. We cannot impose those on people. We can, but will that make those people happy?
You're so insightful. I'm amazed. That was so great. That's real conscious parenting right there, right?
Yes, I'm trying as much as possible because I have only one child. It used to feel though I have as if I have at least three at the same time. It's never been easy with her, and yes, I'm happy that at a certain point I came to this food and behavior relationship and emotional health. It also is a lot related to food. Even with my own understanding of the world, it changed. It changed when I started studying food and relating food to the way I feel. So I think yes.
The thousand of questions. I'm trying to let you go. Marina, you said to me a moment ago that you made a mistake, and
Yes.
I don't see where the mistake is, because it seems like all the little bits of information you took from the different fields you're focusing on, they've all contributed to this now,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
How would you see it as a mistake?
It is serving me now. Back then, especially when you start something new, you have that has not been a part of your life, and it's taken time to um, make it public, to start writing about it, to start talking about it. You kind of biggest confidence, it comes from competence,
Hmm.
and I didn't feel like I knew enough to share it with everybody else, and that was stopping me from putting stuff out there, from writing the way I do now, or talking the way I do now. And it took probably a year, from a year and a half to 2 years of not um, exposing myself to anything related to what I was studying. Whereas I think if I've narrowed it down to one subject and gained some competence in it and started um, putting things out there already 2 years back. But it's always like
Why?
this when you're you cannot get it. Maybe I'm
Yeah,
not just using the right words. I'm trying to take it out of my head and make you see it, which I should never do.
I feel I'm grasping it. I'm just seeing what I see now, knowing you very little before, getting to know you a lot more before our moment here, and I'm seeing that everything happened quite really perfectly.
Yes,
So
yes.
I'm still not tying up what it is that you feel you wish you had done when what you're doing now is how it's supposed to be. You see,
All right, let's see where it takes me.
that's different. That's different. That's different. I mean, I feel what you've learned up to now, just knowing you for a brief moment, I feel you've done phenomenally. And that's not because we're talking. I'm being very candid. Uh, and I believe that all those little things, it's the grains of sand in the oyster that make the pearl, right?
Yes,
Without them, you might
yes,
not be sitting here with that hindsight, right?
yes. But that's what it feels like now when it's already partly done. But when you're still starting and you cannot focus on one thing, like um, the knowledge is so like scattered around many areas, and
Hmm.
if you know a little bit of everything, the whole picture is not like coming together. So it took me, because of that, it took me long to start. You know, if no, you're not getting.
No, I get
Okay,
it. I
let's
get
start.
it. No,
Drop it.
no. I'm not discarding your feelings at all. I really appreciate them. I just believe that everything happens the way it's supposed to happen. And with
Yes.
conscious awareness, we can make better decisions. That's the power of what I feel you were saying earlier for parenting. With conscious awareness, we can do better for our kids. And now with conscious awareness, you can see that maybe fixating on too many things wasn't so constructive, but it made you be this aware, which you can now use fruitfully, right? Constructively.
Yes. Yes.
No? No? I get you, and I'm just not. I think it turned out very well, even if at a certain point you probably looking back, you wish you had done it differently. No?
Yes, maybe, but that's when we talk about those multiple options. If we go back in time and we think, what if I did this or did that? Would it serve me right now at this point of time? And the truth is, we never know the answer, because we don't know how circumstances we're going to shape around that decision, that particular decision. We don't know whether it would have been better or worse than it is now. That's why I do prefer viewing things from the now perspective, and usually never go back to the past, because memories are tricky, because the brain does like it never stores memories exactly the
Absolutely.
way that they were when it happened, especially female brain, because we,
No
we do
comment.
love
No
adding we
comment.
do we
Um,
do love adding stuff to everything that happens, and then in years we convince ourselves that that's exactly how it happened. Because if you take two people and one event and ask them separately about what happened, they will have completely different stories.
Absolutely.
That's why yes, I'm not sure how like efficient it is to go back to your past and try and analyze. This is like very popular, especially among therapists, psychologists, and you have to dig deep down and find the origin of that particular behavior that you
Hmm.
have now, or a pattern or whatever, right? But the problem is, when we go back in our minds, we kind of get into the same vibration that we were experiencing back then when the event happened. And I think if you're not stable emotionally, it's better not to do it. I always say, if you haven't like gotten over whatever happened, don't talk about it yet, because it's easier to talk about your positive traumatic experiences when you already admitted the fact that it's done. It can no longer have effect on your life, and from now on you start in everything all over, and it's like a clean slate. uh, Rather than when people start sharing their life story, and they still it still makes them emotional, it still makes them cry, they will vibrationally go back to that state, and it will affect how their life is going to unfold from the moment when they share this story. So I do recommend usually to not talk about traumatic events if they are still like sore,
Yeah.
in a
Yeah.
way, in your memory.
Um, when we can talk in private, but there's something called somatic coaching, which is something I'm working on, and it's very
Mm-hmm.
intriguing what you say about the past and the future, and we can discuss that later. But it was very intriguing what you were saying, and we don't want to go into a coaching discussion specifically, but thank you for bringing that to my awareness, and it's great to hear your insights on that. What Marina, what makes you so passionate? I just hear passion, passion, passion. Like, what's behind it?
I don't know. I just like this feeling of clarity. I really want to say, like a lot of people do, I want to make this huge impact. I want to help these people. I do. I really do. I really love it when people, when say I speak and people have those aha moments and you can see things changing for them in their lives later on. I love that. I love helping people that way. But I do think each person um, stumbles upon truth on their own, and you cannot feed people your own clarity, right? uh, and that's why what makes me so passionate about everything I do is that drive when I see um, like when I get this understanding of how things work, of why this particular thing happened, and how this cause and effect works in general. Because a lot of people walk through life blind, right? Like asleep, till the moment something shakens them up, and it's usually it's rarely something good, right? Somehow it takes something traumatic for people to
Absolutely.
wake up. It takes this big fall, this hitting rock bottom. And again, I'm speaking from my own experience because I've hit that bottom a few times. But the truth is, it doesn't have to be this way, because that's what we're growing up with. It's all about hard work. It takes what is that, sunshine after the rain, right? The bigger the storm, the brighter the rainbow, and all those things that we just pass over from one generation to another, and we say, you have to suffer before you feel good. Or it was just today, I talked to my mom and she said, no, but really people cannot appreciate what they have unless they lose it or go through something traumatic. And I say, no, that's what we tend to believe, and that's what we convince each other, saying that this is the truth because this is what happened to me. But the truth is, it doesn't have to be this way. Nobody has to suffer, because the problem is a lot of people cannot bounce off after they start suffering, and
Mm-hmm.
they get stuck in it. And that's because we don't have enough of that emotional intelligence. Most of us, we study math, we study physics, we study chemistry, and lots of stuff in school. And kids can tell you what's around the earth layer by layer
Mm-hmm.
and inside the earth layer by layer, but they cannot distinguish between
What's inside?
what they feel.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and they cannot express because uh, somehow emotional intelligence is not subject in school. So kids go out of school with loads of knowledge that is difficult to apply in real life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It,
Yeah,
it's
so what was the question?
what's behind your passion? See, it's all there. It's still coming through.
Yes.
To be more, because it's really, really powerful for anybody who's watching this. What was the shift in you, for you? Maybe your rock bottom or a moment, your aha moment. Was there something in your life where you thought, this is now no more for me? I want to be this person that comes and brings inspiration and change.
Well, it took me a while between I didn't quite lose my job. I left it voluntarily, but I didn't know where to go from there. So I was, um, for a few weeks, I was so stagnant and so deep in very negative emotions because most of us have this victim mindset, right? We
Mm-hmm.
think that life is happening to us, and that we're so unlucky if something bad happens to us. We go, oh, why is it always happening to me?
Mm-hmm.
And this is the worst question we can ever ask ourselves or the universe in general, because there is no particular reason why something bad
Yeah.
happens to us. And there are no favorites. when it comes, nobody assigns grief, happiness to people from somewhere above. No, we create it. And I think the understanding of us creating it was that biggest shift for me, shifting from this victim consciousness, victim mindset to growth mindset, because I used to be very fixed on if I grew up in this environment, this is what I am. If that's what people think about me, this is what I am. Or if these events are happening, like I was letting everything define me. And there came a moment when I thought, I think it's time to take control over my life and make it go the way I want it to go, because it's just impossible to be hurt like this all this time. And because I was very conscious, and I was very sensitive, like very sensitive. Anything could hurt me. And then I realized people are out there, like, there is a concept called spotlight effect. Spotlight effect.
I've not heard it. No.
So it's when you think everybody's looking at you and everybody's judging you. So basically, like, you're at the spotlight, whereas in fact, people do not care. It is very rarely people care how good your hair looks today. And if they do care, trust me, you don't want these people in your life. Because the last thing you want is to have somebody judge you by the way you look, or by how well dressed you are, or how shiny your shoes are, or anything like that. So spotlight effect is one of the reasons why people have anxiety. It's because they are overthinking they're like about their external environment, about other people, because all of us are raised on the idea of what are people going to think, what are people going to say about me. We are actually trained to see ourselves through the eyes of others. That's what I grew up hearing. What will people think? Or if I was doing something, my mom would say, you're getting me embarrassed in front of everybody. And if ever I say like this to my child, the first thing she will say would be, why would you care what everybody else thinks?
Wow.
She is very straightforward when it comes to other people having opinions about her, because she always says, why would I care? This goes to extremes sometimes, because it's not like she doesn't have boundaries, but if you completely do not care what people think about you, there is another side to it, right? And it goes into like somehow flawed understanding of how social relationships work. Because social relationships is like, it's what we created, and if you do not if you deny that it's out there, you won't be able to like try and fit in. But the problem is she doesn't try to fit in, because she thinks nobody is supposed to fit in. So what we have is she's been a bit too advanced in terms of how she sees the world, and the world is not ready for it. A lot of people are like this these days, but like I think we're finally moving into this direction of acceptance, of openness, open-mindedness in the first place, awareness. And a lot of people wake up and understand that they are not where they grew up. They're not the parents who raised them, and they're not supposed to raise their children the way their parents raised them. And again, I forgot the question.
I'm interested to go in another direction, if that's okay with you.
Yes, absolutely.
We're just dancing in the moment, okay? We just go as it comes. You said that you feel there's a shift happening where people are starting to realize. Yes. You believe that? And what's your belief on what you said a second ago that you noticed that people are starting to shift in their awareness about they're not where they grew up anymore. They're not their parents. They're starting to realize things differently. What's your belief on that?
I think that anybody can change the way they are at any point in life. As soon as they realize that their old beliefs no longer serve them. I think there is this like breaking point in almost everybody's life, unless you are like absolutely ignorant of what's going on around, and you have to be either totally satisfied with your life and absolutely happy, and then it doesn't matter how advanced you are, how aware you are. If you're happy where you are, stay there. There's like nowhere to go from there, because whatever we do because we think it's going to make us happy. And that's what trips a lot of people up, because once they achieve what they were striving for, they realize they're not happy, they're not there, and then there goes another wish and another wish and another wish. But if you understand that wherever you're thinking is taking you away from this inner peace, from this happiness, from this joy, that actually should be the goal, ultimate goal for everybody, other than any other goal, materialistic in the first place. So yes, I think if you start understanding that your emotions, your feelings, your thoughts are not taking you there, this is the time to drop all your past. This is the time to stop thinking which qualities parents raised in you, and how to apply these qualities to our modern life. Like, I think every person can just pinch them off from their past, kind of like if you're editing a video and you're splitting it into chunks, you can just delete what's on your left. So I guess any person who finds him or herself unhappy in life can do that, regardless of where they grew up, regardless of whether or not they've been in toxic, destructive relationships, jobs, friends that they have, whatever traumatic experience that they had. I think it is possible to just push that restart button and start it anew. But that's only if you're ready to take control over your life and get out of that victim consciousness and get out of that understanding that thinking that other people can determine how you feel or have any effect on how you feel, because we usually, if we experience negative emotion or emotions, we like doing this blame shifting, but like putting it on somebody else. So if it's something good, we've done that. If it's something bad, you've done that, because that's easier, right? Because then you won't have to do anything about it. You can just put it on somebody else. So yes, I guess any person is capable of that, regardless of what happened in life.
You're so insightful. What is your view on what would be your main passion of the many things you're trying to bring? What is the thing you believe in the most?
I believe that we can create our lives the way we want them. And the only thing holding us back is the disbelief. Because once we introduce resistance into it, once we start getting conditional and thinking that something can get in the way, those obstacles come because we create them.
And if we went more specific to your teaching, to your coaching, is it nutrition? Is it the spirituality? What is it exactly? Or is it all combined as you?
Yeah, it's holistic living. Okay. And holistic means that it encompasses everything. So you cannot change, for instance, your body without changing your mind, because that's where it starts. So if somebody comes and says, I want to lose weight, we don't just put that person on a diet or deprive them of things that this person likes or make them exercise more. we change the way they view their body, the way the relationship they have with food. And once you start just talking to that person and discussing food, you will usually hear a lot of negative self-talk, like, I'm sick of how everything I eat adds to extra weight, or I'm tired of all the diets and everybody else eats whatever they want, but whatever I eat makes me fat. So you will usually find a lot of this self-talk behind anything. You can find even people who don't have excess weight, but have these thoughts, have this kind of relationship with food. And then, of course, the food they eat, it hurts them in a variety of ways. So it's all like complex. It's all holistic.
Okay.
That's why, yeah. But I do like having this scientific backup always, because that's an opportunity to reach out to a bigger amount of people, because not all people are spiritual these days still, and not all people will be able to change their relationship with food through meditation, for instance. But if you give them scientific data, they will be more comfortable with the changes that they want to adopt. That's why I do like kind of blending this science and spirituality, so that the effect was more massive in a way.
Okay. And I'm spiritual myself, on a very enlightened journey at the moment. It's growing so fast. Would you mind sharing what your spiritual journey is like, and how's it going?
Oh, in a way. Let me see. I discovered meditation just a couple of years back, and I think that is the best thing I could have done to myself, because it has given me huge control over my emotions and so much clarity. And I was able to better control the way I react to unexpected life situations, whereas before I would be either losing my temper or overreacting or overthinking. Like I mentioned before, if something happened to me, like I used to be a very sensitive person, and if somebody wasn't nice to me, that would be in my head for days and days and days and days, and that would also grow into something bigger, because that's how the brain works, like exaggerating things, right? So with meditation, I was able to get rid of that. And like, I cannot say right now that nothing bothers me, or rude people don't have effect on me. They still do, but I get over it much more quickly. And wherever it used to take me like weeks to get over before, it takes me minutes now.
And Marina, would you mind sharing any particular meditative practices you used? Was there something you really followed, or a variety?
I used variety at the beginning, and I think there is no wrong way to meditate, as long as it makes you feel better at the end, which is the kind of the purpose of it, to calm your mind, to stop your thought. Because if you, for instance, take a person who never meditated and tell them to sit down and clear their mind and stop all their thoughts, chances are they're not going to be able to do that, because they're not used to that, because it takes effort to stop the momentum this way, right? But if you put them on guided meditation or some like relaxing music first, and then you slowly move them towards meditating without like headphones and somebody else's voice, because we do pick up a lot of stuff from other people when they talk to us, sometimes very, very often subconsciously, right? That's why I wouldn't say that only guided meditation is a good option, because guided meditation is guided by somebody else. And what we want absolute peace of mind, and like this silence, this quietness, if that's a word. So I do resort to guided meditation sometimes. I have like my favorite recordings, and those are especially good if your mind is um, like wandering and
Okay.
focusing is difficult. So guided meditation helps. Um, but what I prefer just focusing on some distant sound. Like for
Okay.
instance, I have a water fountain in my living room, so that is what I focus on.
Okay.
Or like the sound of the AC, if it's
Mm-hmm.
like subtle and not annoying, or the fridge working sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
and to stay focused on that sound only for as long as possible, and
Okay.
trying to discard whatever thoughts that emerge in the process. So that kind of keeps you focused,
Mm-hmm.
and you end up like with a very clear mind.
Okay.
And the best way to do it is early in the day, straight
Mm-hmm.
after you wake up, because you know how we are as people. We usually get a lot of thoughts, um, probably in the first few hours of the day, and then something may happen, like your child will wake up, or your spouse will also join you, and then it's just like different vibrations merging together, and then it's too hard to stop the thought. And it's like mornings can be annoying for a lot of people because they are busy,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And they are usually rushing somewhere. So I always recommend waking up earlier than the rest of people in the house,
Mm-hmm.
because those are very quiet morning hours when you can really like set your mind properly, and uh, it's like pre-paving sort of,
The day
and
ahead.
it
Yeah.
yes, like you're working ahead in advance on your emotions, and you're less likely to be overreactive during the day if you do that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And thank you. You talk about vibrations. What's your views on raising your vibrations? Are you sensitive to vibration? How do you raise your vibration? Is there anything there for you?
I am sensitive, and I pick up other people's vibrations quite a bit. But again, like through meditation, um, it became possible to catch that early, to
Mm-hmm.
feel that early. So if somebody was angry around you and you pick that up, at least I know now how to get rid of it. I know how to stop that thoughts, because the mind is trained now. So if before I would keep going angry throughout the day, now it takes me like 10-15 seconds to switch back to
Right.
my normal state. Yes, so that is, I think that is important. And
Okay.
I know a lot of people are sensitive to that and pick up stuff from people, and that's how they end up not in a very good place. But I guess meditation is one of the ways to keep your mind like under your control, not
Okay.
let it wander around and pick up stuff from people.
I really hope that a lot of people get in touch with you to learn these techniques, because I think it's so powerful, and it's someone for everyone and not everyone for someone. So I think you could help a lot of people with your experience and your insights, and most valuably, your consciousness, because I feel you're very awake, and it's nice to hear and to see. And
That's good.
what's your vision for the future before we come to an end? Because we're doing really great. I can't believe how fast the time is going.
Mm. My vision for the future, my future or the world future?
Marina's future. you you impact the world by your presence and whatever you bring, right? So the world is going to benefit or not by you. So you.
Yes, yes. I do have some projects in progress. I'm working on books. Like one of them is about limiting beliefs and how
Okay.
to stop feeding yourself like that negative self-talk that people
Mm.
usually do, because when people do that, they do not realize the effect of it. And once you're already awake and you can hear other people saying that, you can actually predict where this pattern is going to take them later in life, right? And but a lot of people do it so unconsciously. They just learned that phrase, picked up that phrase from their parents, for instance, and they just keep saying it throughout life, and then they wonder why it's not working the way they want to, which is the conflict of like beliefs and our goals, right? When our beliefs and our goals do not align, we were not going to get things going our way. So this is something I want to bring to people's awareness. Another book I'm working on is actually self-help fiction, because the way I intended it to be was for children, but I somehow took it to like a bit more advanced level than children can probably comprehend.
Okay.
I do hope it's gonna end up in a story that children will be able to learn through, because the book is largely about emotions and how to manage them, and how to, again, do what we were just talking about and start your day on a positive note, because that's going to define how your day is going to keep going. Yeah, so those are the things I'm working on at the moment. My bigger vision, I really want to get as many people as possible to wake up and to gain more awareness and to become more conscious creators, like deliberate creators, and understand how much they can change their lives only with the power of thought.
That was really nice. I hope that one thing I've learned from my video cast is that more people are influenced than we believe just by the likes or whatever feedback you might get. So I believe that just by doing stuff like this, your presence and your vision is really gonna, it'll get to someone at least. And if we can help change one person, bring awareness to one person, we're doing a good job, right?
Yes, absolutely. Because then it's gonna get passed over, you know, because some people have it as their goal to influence millions. I don't want just one, I want millions. With me, as long as it's just one person, that one person is gonna find another one to influence, and then it's gonna grow exponentially in a while, not necessarily coming directly from me, but like I'm fine with that.
And just as a final word, is there anything you'd like to say to anybody who's been impacted by this moment with you?
Oh, absolutely. Like, reach out if you want some further insights. I'm very active on social networks. I'm responsive. Like, I don't shy away from people I don't know. And if you have any questions and you think I can be helpful in any way, I'd really want to be in touch.
Okay. And do you have a motto of any sort or a mantra?
Just probably that things always work out and nothing ever goes wrong.
Wow, that was powerful. Marina, on that note, to save us from going into hours and hours of talking, because I think we could go into the sunrise, I'd like to say thank you so much for your vulnerability and your authenticity and showing up so powerfully. It's been really inspirational listening to you and sharing with you. I just can't fit in all the questions that you made me raise in my mind. Like, oh wow, I'd like to know about that. But thank you so much. It's you're really great, and I think you're doing a good job on yourself and your daughter. And I know this will have a ripple effect onto people without a doubt.
That's all I want. Thank
You're doing a great job.
It was really fun. It was really fun for me.
Thank you so much, and I'll speak to you soon.
Yes, take care.